Good evening, ladies. In today's video, we are going to be going all the way through prediction markets, every single way that you can make money using prediction markets. I know this is the hottest narrative right now. Everyone's talking about prediction markets. The volumes are high, but for some reason, it's just a huge narrative at the moment. But there's no direct tokens for like Polymarket or Kalshi that you can invest in, but there are plenty of other ways. And some of them are a little bit questionable morally. Nevertheless, I'm going to run through every single way that you could make money using prediction markets right now. Like, obviously you can bet on prediction markets and you can gamble on prediction markets, but I still think, like, if you have some sort of edge, which we'll talk about, like, I think that's a better idea than being in the meme coin trenches right now, or even probably higher EV than perps. The reason being, like, the meme coin trenches, like, prediction markets are zero sum, meaning for every winner there's a loser. Same thing with perps, except people are less sophisticated on prediction markets than they are with perps. Like, there's some perp traders who are just absolute killers, who just are consistently winning over years and years and have been perp trading for years and years and years. Prediction markets are a little bit newer, so there's not so many, there's not as much intelligent capital using prediction markets, so it's a little bit easier to be, you know, higher EV on a prediction market than on perps. And right now, meme coins are just like, you know, it's really negative EV in my opinion to be trading meme coins because of all the insider cabal. Like, you think it's zero sum, but it's really just, you know, insiders, cabals, and it's really hard to be profitable unless you're like an insider yourself or you're launching tokens in meme coins. Personally, like, maybe some people can make it, but I think prediction markets are easier if you're actually taking bets. But let's not talk about taking bets for the moment. The first way that you can make money using prediction markets, which is basically a risk-free strategy. Now, you're not going to be making like 1000x doing this, but you can make a couple of percentage points here and there, and that is arbitrage. So what is arbitrage? Most people know, but it's basically taking a bet on one platform and taking the opposite bet on the other platform because the odds are skewed. So like, the odds on one side, it's going to be different to the odd on the other side. It might be just slightly different, but it's enough that after the fees and after the spread, you're actually going to be making a profit by taking the opposite bet on different platforms. For me, I'm doing this on Myriad, which is Farouk's prediction market, as well as Polymarket. But I know it's probably much more liquidity on Polymarket plus Kalshi, but I'm not a US citizen, so I can't use Kalshi. But if you are a US citizen, I think you can use Polymarket with a VPN, and then you could basically arbitrage. You could try and find bets that are like the same bet, ending at the same date, and see if there's a spread. And there could be like a 1 or 2% spread. And I think this is still doable because I don't think like hedge funds, I don't think, you know, professional financial guys have come in and started to eat up that spread and that hedge, because probably it's still too small of a market for them to bother. But for little guys, like, you can make, you know, maybe $50 on a spread here and there, like, or even like $20, which is just, or $100 isn't worth their time for, like, you know, bots to come in and do that yet. But that probably will be eaten up soon. So I think arbitrage is one opportunity that is probably going to go away, but it's still there for the moment. So for example, here's the prediction market landscape. You can look through all the different prediction markets and see if there's any prediction markets that have the same bet as Polymarket on their platform, and then you can see if the odds, like, if you put $100 bet on one side and $100 bet on the other side, do you end up with more than $200, no matter which way it goes. Like I said, I'm doing it on Myriad. The reason I'm doing it on Myriad is because, one, I'm farming the Myriad airdrop, which I'm pretty sure is confirmed. They have like points program, so it's likely that they're going to do an airdrop, and the abstract airdrop, because it's built on the abstract chain, and abstract hasn't done their airdrop yet. So by using Myriad and hedging the same bet on Polymarket, I can't lose money. But even if I don't make money on the arbitrage on the spread because the liquidity is so small, I'm farming the Myriad plus abstract airdrop. So it's positive EV to do that. So even if I don't make a profit on the bet, I'm farming 2 airdrops at the same time, so it's probably worth doing. That's how I'm thinking about it. And yeah, moving on to airdrops, and like, there's a lot of speculation on whether or not Polymarket is going to do an airdrop. I don't know what the likelihood is. Probably low, but definitely not zero. I'd say it's like maybe, I don't know, like 30% or something. And if Polymarket do an airdrop, it's going to be absolutely huge. It's going to be an absolutely massive airdrop. Like Polymarket is valued like 1 or 2 billion. So, a 10%, like say they're valued on a public market at like a few billion. If they give 10% airdrop, that's a few 100 million given out to the community. And I don't think this is being industrial farmed. Like it is being farmed. Like a lot of people are thinking, oh, I should probably just get a lot of volume on Polymarket because in case there's an airdrop, which is the right decision. But I don't think it's industrial farmed, like with millions of Sybil wallets, like where industrial farmers for like these random chains like Scroll and ZK Sync, which basically turned out the individual airdrops like kind of shit. But for something like Polymarket, I don't think people are certain there's going to be an airdrop, and for that reason the airdrop might be better for the people who are actually farming it or even using it. So you just hedge your bet you can actually hedge your bet out on a gambling website. Like obviously the spreads and the odds you get on Polymarket are really good in comparison to normal traditional gambling markets. However, sometimes the spread is big enough that you can actually arbitrage across a gambling website like Paddy Power or what are the American ones, Stake and what's your man's Dave Portnoy's, whatever that's called. Sometimes the spread will actually be large enough between Polymarket and a gambling website that you can actually get a small arbitrage, and therefore you've also hedged your bet by getting more volume through Polymarket in case there's an airdrop. So Myriad, Polymarket, you can have a look, you can try out all the prediction markets. No harm if you have the time and you're bothered. And the other one that is doing a points program is called Limitless, and it's on base, and you can actually hedge that quite easily as well. And this is mostly like pricing prediction market. So whether or not Solana is going to be above this price, is Bitcoin going to be below 100,000 in 2026, like those kind of bets where it's pricing and it's also stock pricing. So you can hedge your bets a lot of the time on Polymarket, but the spreads on Limitless are really bad. So it's kind of hard to make a profit on Limitless. So you're just hoping that the airdrop would be good enough to offset that. And it might be, to be honest, because I don't think anyone's really farming it. The reason I think that Polymarket might do an airdrop more so than other people believe is because right now, in order to resolve the different bets, they're using a decentralized token called UMA, and basically the UMA whales decide the outcome of each of the bets. And there has been a lot of controversy in the resolutions of a number of bets. Like it's not a crazy problem, but it is a bit of a problem. Like I think there's been a good handful of bets where UMA whales have kind of manipulated the outcome, and they're kind of controversial, the outcome that came out on Polymarket. So the UMA token like doesn't have a massive market cap, so someone can put a big bet on Polymarket, buy enough of the supply of UMA, and outcome using their supply of UMA, they can change the result of a certain outcome on Polymarket in their favor. So I think if Polymarket did an airdrop and they used, instead of using UMA as the oracle, if they started using the Poly token or the Polymarket token, whatever that's going to be called, as the oracle, and they decentralized it in a way that was much fairer. Like obviously the Polymarket token, it's going to have much larger market cap, like probably in the billions or at least hundreds of millions, as opposed to UMA, which has a pretty low market cap. So it'd be a lot harder to manipulate the Polymarket oracle. So I do think that's a possibility, and it would make a lot of sense. Another advantage for Polymarket is that it's a way for them to monetize if they have a token. Right now, actually, Polymarket and Kalshi rumored to be losing a lot of money because they're providing a lot of liquidity on these bets and actually losing a lot. So I think they're losing like tens of millions per year. So a way for Polymarket to actually make money is either to get bought out, so they could go the IPO route and become public and everything, or they could tokenize and keep 10% for the team and maybe use the Polymarket funds to help provide more liquidity into Polymarket. So to kind of dampen the losses that you're taking on liquidity until it becomes so big that they're not taking losses anymore. Like Hyperliquid, the HLP vault might have been taking losses when it was like doing all the market making of Hyperliquid, but now there's enough market makers coming into Hyperliquid. It's become a big enough platform that the HLP vault can't really be attacked and can't really lose money. It's just, you know, doing standard market making. So I do think there's a few good reasons for Polymarket to airdrop. They're kind of the two main ones, and the third one being because I want it for my bag, so hopefully they do. Okay, so moving on from arbitrage, which is somewhat risk-free, and airdrop farming, which is also kind of risk-free, we're going to be moving on to actually taking bets. Now, obviously, this is much riskier, and I really highly recommend you don't just randomly gamble on Polymarket. Polymarket or Calcia, you're going to have the best liquidity, so if you're taking bets, you might as well take it on them if you're not going to arbit out elsewhere. But you can look at other betting platforms where you think the pricing might be way off. So generally, I think when you're taking bets, you kind of want to only take bets on something you think you might have an edge on or you have deep knowledge in. Like, for example, I'm a Tesla investor, so I look at all the Tesla bets, and there's a lot of bets on Tesla and Elon Musk, and I kind of might be not a crazy advantage, but a slight advantage in the fact that I kind of know what's going on with Tesla stock. I know when robotaxis are going to come out, kind of have an idea how many cars they might sell in the next quarter, more so than the average person. So just look through Polymarket, all the bets, like if you want to do this, obviously, if you find this interesting, you find this fun, but look, scroll down, try and find some bets that you might think you might have a slight edge in or a bit of deep knowledge in, and look at the odds and say, do I think that's like, if it's 20% chance, do I think, oh, this is actually a 30% chance, I should take that bet? Stuff like that. So try and find these kind of obscure bets that you might be able to have an edge in, and that you might be able to do deeper research than other people are willing to do. So you basically want to take the other side of the gamblers a lot of the time, or the people who might not really know and are just trying to have a bit of fun on Polymarket. You're going to go in, you're going to be like, okay, I might know a little bit about this random topic that most people don't know about. Then you're going to research that bet. So the bet is that, will Tesla sell 500,000 cars this quarter? I might go through all, like, for example, I know that in Q1, Tesla sells less cars. It usually sells less cars than the previous Q4, because Q4 is usually their best month. So I know that they're going to sell less cars than in Q1 of the following year than they sold previously. And that's just kind of inherent knowledge. And then I'm going to go actually doing some deep research. I'm going to look at all the Tesla, like the Tesla gurus or the Tesla stock investor guys. I'm going to see what they're saying about how many cars they're expecting Tesla to sell. And the other thing you can do, you can ask AI, you can ask Grok to think hard and say, what is the probability? This is what you should ask Grok, the like heavy thinking duty mode. Say, what do you think the odds are that Tesla is going to sell X amount of vehicles next quarter? And it's going to give you its idea of its probability, analyzing the entire Twitter landscape. But I do think for those kind of bets, you kind of need to dig a layer deeper. So most people will be like, okay, the analysts are estimating that they're going to sell this many cars. I'm just going to bet what the analysts think, because that's like obvious information that everyone knows. So it's not really going to be useful, and you're not really going to have an edge by doing that. You need to go a step deeper than that. And you need to, like, maybe a different example. Another example of something that you could do a little bit deeper research than what most people on Polymarket might be doing is, will Taylor Swift be pregnant in 2026? You could do some out-of-the-box kind of research. This is just an example, but it could be like, okay, she just got engaged. What are the odds that people who just got engaged are pregnant within 4 months? And maybe the odds are 50% likely. And then you're looking at this and you're like, okay, well, this is only 20%. Let me do a little bit more research. Does Taylor Swift want kids? What has she ever said that she's like open to having kids? Okay, she is open to having kids. Oh, she's 36 or something like that. Maybe it's going to be a little bit harder for her to conceive straight away because she's a bit older. That kind of like, just keep asking questions and try and find what the actual likelihood that she is going to be pregnant in 2026. And the other thing I would say for that particular bet is like, okay, she might actually get pregnant in 2026, but will she announce it in 2026? Like, people generally don't announce that they're pregnant until I think like 6 months they've been pregnant or something, 4 months, because, you know, in case the baby is lost before that time, which happens, you know, regularly enough, people tend to not announce it for a while. So factoring all those scenarios together, then you come up with your own odds in your head. And if the odds are wildly different from the odds that are being shown on Polymarket, that's when you can take the bet, because you've actually done a bit of research and you've come up with an edge. All right, moving on from that example. Another way, like, to make money betting on Polymarket is to take the casino side. What do I mean by that? On Polymarket, everyone wants to make the 20x, the 50x, or the 100x, or the 10x. So a lot of the time, people are betting on the low odd. They're betting on the 10% chance, the 5% chance, the 2% chance, the 1% chance. This means a lot of the time the bets are more skewed to the, you know, lower likelihood outcome. So if you take the higher likelihood outcome over a large number of bets, say you take, like, say there's a 1% probability of 100 bets, you take the 99% time, you take the 99% bet 100 times, and because the likelihood of the 1% is basically zero for most of these bets, like the 1% chance never happens essentially, but people just want to bet on it because they'll make 100 times their money. You spread those bets so you're not taking huge risk, and it's likely you're going to make money doing that. Like, maybe 99 to 1% isn't the sweet spot, but you could look at like 87%, and you're like, okay, that's probably more like 95%, or a 95% bet should really be like 98%. And you take a lot of those bets, but you just do it in small size, because some of them will go the other way. So if you spread it out, then you're obviously reducing your risk. And you also want to take bets like that that have a time limit. So if it's not till the end of 2026 and you're going to make a 3% gain, obviously that's not worth your time, because you could just invest in bonds and make more money than getting 3% in a year and a half. So obviously you want ones that are ending soon. How can you do that? How can you find these? Like, you can look through Polymarket, but the easier way is to go to this website, which I'll leave in the description, called Bet More, and it will show you the APY that you can earn on bets that are finishing soon. And I've even left the tags in for you, so it'll show you like ending soon, has enough liquidity, has a bit of volume, and you can actually take the bets that have already or will end soon. The other way you can make money on Polymarket is go to this daily rewards tab, and basically what you're doing here is you're providing liquidity for the different bets. Now obviously there is a bit of risk with this, but essentially you're assuming that the bet is well priced. So what you have to do in order to earn these extra rewards, like the reason Polymarket is giving out these rewards, because you're providing a service of providing liquidity within the spread. So you can see a lot of these spreads are like, there's a 3-cent spread, like a 3% spread. So basically what you have to do to earn these rewards, you have to bet, I think it's a minimum of $20. You have to put a limit order within that 3% spread, either yes or no, but you have to put it within that spread, and you're going to earn a reward. So you actually get extra yield by putting orders within the spread, and then when someone takes the opposite bet, they're going to be buying or selling into you essentially. Now obviously this is a risk because you're taking on a bet. A lot of the time your order will get filled, and you kind of want to only be betting on ones that you think are fairly priced. And if you're doing this for a lot of the different bets, you're hoping that most of them are well priced and the bets you're taking are, you know, like even. So your bets are even, but like if you take enough of these bets and you put limit orders within the spread, over time the wins that you're taking, the wins on the bets that you take, offset the losses that you'll take, and you'll just earn those rewards essentially. And they're probably pretty decent rewards, and it's getting you more volume on Polymarket in case Polymarket ever does an airdrop. And they're probably going to reward people who are providing liquidity quite well, because you're doing a real service for them. So the way to do this would be to do a lot of these bets, like take a lot of them, because that reduces your risk that any one of them you end up taking on a bad bet. But because it's within the spread, it's likely that hopefully it's well priced, or somewhat fairly priced. Okay, moving on from actually betting, there are a number of tokens that you could, like if you want exposure to the prediction market landscape, there are a couple of tokens that are like trading bots that are like front ends for making bets on Polymarket and Kalshi. The best one is Flipper, and this actually kind of looks like it could be potentially an entry for Flipper. So obviously it had a big pump. People like the platform. I haven't actually used it myself. Or Polycule. Polycule is a Telegram trading bot. Flipper is more like Axiom, and it's just like an easier way that if someone's like trading heavily. So I do own a little bit of Flipper, but I need to do a bit deeper research into if they're actually using those revenues that they're earning to buy back the token and all that kind of stuff. But it does look like I haven't used the actual bot yet, so tiny position. But I will update you. Join my free Telegram. If I do like Flipper, I'll mention it in there as well. And probably like look through this landscape, look through all the prediction market tools, and maybe there's some referral opportunities. Like if you write about Flipper, maybe there's a referral link you can use. I haven't even checked, so use my referral link if it's there. But there's probably different referrals. If you have like a Twitter account or something like that, you could share and make some money from referrals. Okay, so the last way we're going to talk about how to make money on prediction markets, it's potentially the unethical way that I might have put it in the clickbaity title of the video. But the unethical way of unethical ways of making money on Polymarket or other prediction markets is to try and have an impact on the outcome. So for example, you might remember that there was a bet on whether or not a green dildo or a dildo would be thrown on the women's basketball match. And I think the odds of this were like 5% that there would be a dildo thrown onto the basketball match. How could you like win that bet? You could go to that basketball match with a green dildo and throw it onto the court, and you could have put like 10 grand on yes, and then you would have made a 20x. So you would have made 200 grand on that bet, for example. Like obviously there's not very many bets where an individual can have an outcome or have a impact on the outcome, but there like potentially there is. We'll talk about other ways you could potentially have an impact on the outcome. So the other way you can make money in this kind of slightly unethical way is you don't even have to get the result to change. You could just like spread some FUD or potentially even make something up and get it to go viral on Twitter that the outcome is going the wrong way. For example, will Donald Trump lose his presidency in 2025? If you made, I'm just going to make this up, so like I don't even know if that's a bet on Polymarket. You could make some viral, this sounds so unethical, but like this is just the first thing that popped into my head. You can open a huge bet, like say that's a 1% chance or a 2% chance or something. Like it's probably really, really low that would happen. You could make like a load of different Twitter accounts, and you could try and get some viral posts going that Donald Trump is dead or Donald Trump is really sick. And then the odds obviously like it's not true. So Donald Trump, like it's not going to go to 100%, but even if a rumor goes around, the odds might jump from 1% to 5% when people hear about it, and then you can just make a 5x just like that. Like that's a really bad example and it sounds really unethical, but I'm sure there's other things you could think of, like something like you're probably not going to be able to spread a rumor about that because it's like, but like for say some sort of niche protocol, you could start a rumor that it was hacked or something. People will just see that news and they'll rush it to go to that protocol about the bets, and you could impact the bets like that. Another way, like you could get a group together to try and spread some FUD about one of the results, or you can look at the different rulings, you could look at the different rulings in the Polymarket rules, and you could try and make it sound much more ambiguous, like make something up. This is like, if there's anything ambiguous, you could write in the comments, you could make tweets, it could spread the news around about this ambiguous rule, which could like jump a really low odd to a slightly less low odd, and you can make some gains doing that kind of thing. Like this guy is saying he's gonna sue Lord Miles. He was doing a water fast or something, and Lord Miles ate a vitamin C tablet, and he's saying that counts as calories. So stuff like that, and Polymarket went with their side. So you could say a vitamin C tablet does have calories. He's going to lose this bet, and that's obviously going to impact the odds potentially if you get it like enough people to believe it. And obviously, if you have insider information, would be like the last unethical way to make money on Polymarket. Like probably unlikely that you have insider info, but let's say you're on holiday and you saw Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift's husband. You saw them in Italy, and you saw him proposing to her. That, like, you're the only one who saw that. You can quickly go to Polymarket before that news spreads, and you could bet on the engagement going through. So there are all the potential ways that I know of that you can make money using prediction markets. If you enjoyed my video, use any of my links in the description. Hit the thumbs up. I hope you got some value out of this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.